day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good 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 day.
All right, welcome in everyone to a special edition of the Morning Hockey Shot, a Friday edition of the Morning Hockey Shot. I am Andrew McDougall. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. As I always say every week, please give us a like, a subscribe, and comment, and hit the algorithm to make the platform grow and the podcast grow as well, which means hockey grows as well. Hopefully I can get through the entire show. I've been battling with a bit of an illness this week. If there is a bit of a cough here and there, I do apologize, but I've got the lozenge in the mouth. We do have a big show coming up today as well. We've got a special guest in Peter Lambert, someone from the Newcastle Northstars, a commentator, been around the Australian Ice Hockey League for a very, very long time. So a lot of people will know who Peter is. So we'll get Peter on shortly to talk about all things Newcastle Northstars. So I'm looking forward to some comments as well. If people have got comments for Peter, drop them in the chat, and we can hit Peter with some hard-hitting questions possibly. You can find my work at andrewkmacdougall.com.au and on the socials, obviously, at Andrew K. McDougall on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So go over there and give it a follow. On our menu today, there is a little bit to get through. As I just mentioned, we've got Peter Lambert coming on soon. Point number 2, A's still alive. So that's the Adelaide Adrenaline. We'll get stuck into that. Schindel 30. So Colton Schindel hit the 30-goal mark this season. I want to have a chat about the Lightning. There was some announcements about the Trans-Tasman as well. Standing, schedule, and, of course, my pick of the week that I always give every single week. But I wanted to start off the show just having a chat about the Adelaide Adrenaline. They're hanging around the Adelaide Adrenaline, and I did have an article released on my website with my weekly article that I publish every single week in the blue paint. Just having a chat about the Adelaide Adrenaline keeping the finals race alive, and they got some big wins, back-to-back wins over in Brisbane against the Lightning. The first time they've won back-to-back on the road since April 2023. Corey Katina from Network Hockey went back through some stats for me and found that information out. The last time the Adelaide Adrenaline swept an away weekend. It was a massive, massive result for the Adrenaline, and now they keep their finals chances alive heading into week 16, all to play for. And their result, I suppose, they had a win against the Mustangs on home ice a couple of weekends ago and then lost the Sunday game late. And you thought maybe that they were done and dusted. Maybe that Sunday loss was really going to hurt them in their race for the finals or trying to get that top 6, but they're still battling away. And obviously the Mustangs lost last weekend against the North Stars in a big game there at O'Brien Icehouse. So it's really opened the door for the Adelaide Adrenaline, who maybe they're starting to find their form and find their hockey late in the season and pushing for that top 6. And there was a really, really good goal last weekend for the Adelaide Adrenaline. Koi preview on the Saturday. A really nice individual effort, toe dragging and deking his way through. I do have the footage here, and I just wanted to highlight it. It was a really good goal, and really it gave the Adelaide Adrenaline that Saturday win. It was a late goal to get them over the line.
Entering the zone, leaving it behind for Prevost. Stick, Trinka. Oh, and a goal. Prevost scores.
You'll see here, great hands from Prevost to work his way through. And we see a goal. We see a footage here behind the net as well of this goal. You'll see here, gets the pass and just nice toe drag, dekes way through, and their little backhand shot. And we see the reverse angle here of the goal. We get a really good footage of it. Just able to lift it over on the backhand.
Finds itself back in that toe drag, and then the little
a beautiful finish from Koi Prevost. And the Adelaide Adrenaline now, they're really starting to fire. They're really starting to find their game, and they're keeping things alive, which is great, I think, for the league to have the finals race not locked up with a month to go, with teams still battling away. And when you look at the standings, the Brisbane Lightning, they're not immune to dropping out of the top 6. They're still statistically, if everything goes the Adrenaline's way and they win out, and we know that the Brisbane Lightning, they're on a losing streak at the moment. They've lost 4 in a row. They're traveling down to Melbourne this weekend. So if they continue on that losing path, you never know in hockey, anything can happen. And if Adelaide win out and the Lightning continue to struggle late in the season, they're not safe from dropping out of the top 6. So there's a lot to play for as we head into the real pointy end of the season, and we get into August now, and we're heading towards finals. So I just wanted to highlight the Adelaide Adrenaline. You can check out my In the Blue Paint over at andrewkmacdougall.com.au. Just a bit of talk there about the Adelaide Adrenaline, who are, I think, keeping the flame alive and doing a good thing for hockey, I think. There's no settling spots in the top 6, and we don't know who's in the finals a month out. I think it's great for the sport and great for the league. We do have a comment here from Billy Birch. Keep grinding, Andrew, 3:02 a.m. in Alberta. So we've got someone tuning in from Alberta. Thank you for tuning in at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure why you're tuning in to watch me talk and ramble on about the Australian Ice Hockey League, but thank you for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. As I did mention at the top on our menu, I do have Peter Lambert coming on, and we do have Pete in here now.
Hello. Good
Welcome
evening.
to the Friday edition of the Morning Hockey Shot.
Yeah, it works for me too. So I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate you putting the effort you do into covering AIHL. I try to consume all media regarding AIHL, so it's appreciated. I used to do a lot of it myself, so I know it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is a bit of a labor of love, you know.
Sure.
I appreciate that though. We do have a comment in here, Steve Moller, with the good morning and the wink face. Yeah, good morning, Steve. Steve's usually in here every single Saturday morning. Just talking about the Adelaide Adrenaline, Peter. As someone who's been involved with the league for a long time, and obviously a commentator, you see all these teams come through Newcastle every other weekend. It must be exciting for you as well to not have a top 6 settled and see the Adelaide Adrenaline still pushing for that final spot in the top 6.
Well, there's really two parts to a season, right? There's a part of the season where you get to the finals, and then there's the finals themselves. And when you still have some actions, you still got some unknowns. When you get in late into the season, it becomes its own race. It becomes its own competition. So it does make it a lot more interesting than when things are very settled and there's nothing more to play for. You know, you start to get dead rubbers and games that don't mean much, and they're no fun. So it's great to still have a lot of meaning in these games, and the guys will play passionately, and it makes a lot better a spectacle for us to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. How have you seen the Newcastle season play out? I've written about the North Stars a fair bit in my weekly article. I've written individual pieces on the North Stars. I've spoken about the North Stars on this show with other guests and just talking to people in the comments. I'm big on the North Stars. I think they have a really, really solid squad, and I think they can actually win the Cup this season. How have you seen the North Star season play out from your vantage point?
Well, I knew from speaking to GM Gary before the season that we weren't going to get some of our players into May, so I knew it was going to be a bad start, and it was tough, and it shook up also the confidence of some of the players. You know, Charlie Smart, he wasn't playing his best early in the season because it's a real confidence game being a goalie, but I have to say in the last few weeks, I think he's never looked better. So that's really kind of reflects how it got with the team. Once we got the Klugerman guys in, and we got Ethan Hawes back from the Aussie team, and we got Kim Tolberg, and we got Skachkov and Karel Kabat. You could see the team just stabilized at that point. And then once it took them a week or two to get a groove and to get the chemistry going, because they're starting third into the season, that they're trying to get all this running. But once they did get it, I mean, also was a period where we had a lot of matchups against some hot teams. We're playing the ice a few times. We had to play Mustangs, and we lost one. We played one in Brave, which we just lost, and then the next day Rhinos beat us because the guys were absolutely wrecked after a massive game the night before. They were absolutely exhausted, and Rhinos played one of their best of the season too. So they deserved to win that one, and so that one kind of shook up the team. But from that point, it was a reset, and they have kind of come about. So that was mid to late May, and since then it's been a different team, and we've seen that come to a few W's in the last few weeks and move them from 6, even it was a 7th position at some stage, up now. I think they're 4th now. So yes, 4th now.
Yeah, at the start of the season, it was only sort of Francis Drolet as well. If you looked at, I suppose, just the points side of things, was sort of the only Newcastle North Stars player sort of in that top bracket of points through the league. And now you see now that everyone's sort of starting to come through. one of the big signings this season was obviously Casey Kabara. And I feel like Casey's really settled into the squad now.
Well, yeah, he's actually just rocketed up the points ahead of Francis Drolet now. So it shows what a difference. And once he established himself, I mean, we've seen Casey be the top scorer for any Aussie for the last few seasons. I'm sure he won it last year. I think he won it the year before too. So the highest scoring Australian. So you mix that up with being on a line with Kim Tolberg and Evgeny Skechkov. You're going to get production, and he's a guy who has the skills to play with those guys. And yeah, that's why he's rocketed up those points. Francis has been doing different work. He's been doing a fair bit of special teams and even some D in relief. So his points have slowed down, but his contributions haven't. And he's still playing a big part. But yeah, he's not racking up the points like he was earlier in the season when he was we only had one import for a long time. He was the import that we had.
Yeah. We got a comment here from Sean O'Connor. Hey guys, Doogie and Pete on the show. Amazing. Thanks for tuning in, Sean. I appreciate it. Evgeny Sachkov is someone I wanted to have a chat to you about. Whenever I watch the Northstars play and I watch Evgeny play, I'm just amazed that we've got someone the caliber of Evgeny in the Australian Ice Hockey League. And I feel like, and obviously there's not a whole heap of media, I suppose, around the AI. Obviously in Newcastle, it's pretty consistent media there with the local news.
We're very lucky.
Yeah. Outside of that, I suppose there's not really much sort of around the country. And down here in Melbourne, David Booth obviously has got a lot of the headlines as coming in as this big signing. But when I look at someone like Sachkov, I feel like he's on par with David Booth in terms of quality actually coming into the competition. How good has it been to watch Sachkov play this season for the Northstars?
Yeah, it's funny because when you see David Booth play, and I've watched him for three games, I think, against Northstars, plus other games against the teams, and I saw him play for the US team a couple 2 nights ago. I was commentating that with Eric. I mean, the guy's explosive. There are times he just leaves the rest of the field behind, his own teammates and the others. So he's really an obvious superstar. But Gino, what the guys call him Gino, he's not as obvious. He's very subtle, but he makes a huge difference to any team he's on. And it's just in simple things. He's so hard to get the puck off. He makes such good decisions. His vision of the ice is so good. And excuse me, typical. Can you get rid of the cat, please? As soon as the camera's on, the cat's going to show up for sure. Yeah. He's a guy that really makes a big difference to any team he's on. I mean, he just turned 40, but you wouldn't know it. The guy is fit, he's fast, and like I say, he's glue that puts a team together.
Yeah. Yeah, Sean O'Connor has got a comment here. So many KHL games. That is a very impressive league. Absolutely, it is. Yeah, that's why I look at someone like Sachkov and I feel like that someone like Sachkov is sort of on the same level as a David Booth. Obviously, Booth has got that big NHL pedigree, I suppose. But in terms of individual quality and what they bring to the team, I feel like Sachkov's definitely at the same sort of level. It feels like as well, Peter, that Sachkov has come in with really the right mindset as well to play in the Australian Ice Hockey League. Do you find that as well?
Yeah, I think it's not the only place he's played. He's also played for a Romanian national team. I've tried to talk to him, but he doesn't have a lot of English. But I believe his wife's an English teacher, so it's hard to get a real conversation going with him. But he knows hockey terms, he knows hockey words, I really like to see, what I'm trying to say is guys like David Booth, like Skechkov, and even Kim Tolberg and Kirill Kabat. These guys later in their career, they're in their late 30s, 40s. A couple of the guys that are that list are in their 40s. But just like we've seen with Timmins and guys like that, you get them into that age. Sometimes I think, you know what, I'll stay here. And then you get this huge addition to ice hockey in Australia. So I'm hoping that they love it here. We can keep them, and I'll include David Booth and all the other guys in that as well. Because just like in the past when we had guys like Gary Dore and who came to the country and decided to settle here, they made big contributions over their time to the league and to the teams and all this and the coaching and the improvement and the knowledge. And it's really part of why hockey keeps to growing and improving in Australia is because of those people. So I'm hoping that Evgeny Skachkov and Kim Tolberg and David Booth and a lot of those players that come over here decide to stay, and they'll make the sport much richer here.
Yeah, absolutely. You can only hope, fingers crossed. Sean's in the comments as well. This is a big one as well. I also think having Riley Klugerman back for the season after being injured last season has been like a new big signing for the North Stars too. You agree with that, Pete? It's a very talented and highly rated young man, Riley Klugerman.
Yeah, we've been so lucky. We've picked up Riley and his brother Hayden. Last year, Riley played one game for us with his brother and then got an injury, and we didn't see him until finals again. And this year, we've had both of them come in. They had to come in a bit later. They came in May. But once he got a groove on, he keeps improving. And Hayden's had a massive improvement too. We haven't seen him as much in AIHL, but he's killing it in East Coast Hockey League, East Coast Super League, I should say, our feeder league in the New South Wales League. Those two guys, but Riley is like an import. It really is almost. I mean, look, if you saw where he's played, you wouldn't pick him up as an import. Well, you might. I mean, you could, but he's playing at that level, is what I'm trying to say. His credentials don't look like he's the level of the Schindel and Hops and those guys we've got around the league, but he can play to that level most of the time. And as he continues his college career, I think he'll reach that level where he's going to be a guy with an Aussie passport who plays at import level, which is what we see with Ethan Hawes as well. So yeah, for us, it was a massive coup for Gary to find the Klugermans. Riley's mum grew up in Newcastle and married a Canadian. So when Riley and Hayden were first coming over, they're actually staying at his aunt's place here in Newcastle. So while they weren't born here, they are half Newcastle stock, I guess you could say. And then we had Liam Ryan come in as well, another half Aussie, and of course Ethan Hawes. His grandparents are from this area. I think he was actually born overseas, but yeah, his dad's Aussie, and I've got to know Angus pretty well too. He's a good guy. And actually, even Ethan Hawes' brother's a really good hockey player, but he had some injuries, so he hasn't been playing lately.
Riley Klugerman's 18 games played, 26 points, 11 goals, 15 assists. So that sort of shows you the quality that Riley has for the North Stars this season. I am here with Peter Lambert, a colour commentator for the Newcastle Northstars at part of Thought Fox Media. Drop a comment in the chat if you've got a question for Pete, if you're tuning in live. Someone you did mention there was Kirill Kabat. Didn't travel down to Melbourne. Obviously, I think Kirill was suspended, I believe, for a couple of games or a game, I believe. I'm not sure. I could be incorrect on that.
He had one last visit to Melbourne. He had one game suspension for a slash.
Yeah.
But no, the current situation is he's had a family emergency. He's had to return home. So family comes first, and we hope he can make it back, but we don't know. It really depends. So it's a matter for him, and I'm just hoping everything's all going well at home for him.
Okay, fingers crossed for that, and wish him all the best. I just was going to say a really important player, and I was someone that I enjoyed watching because he played on that real edge and gave a bit of grit for the North Stars this season. So it's a big loss if you can't return, but obviously family comes first, and we wish him all the best.
Yeah, we do have one bonus. We've got Ryan Ansley back. He had some time. I think he had a small injury. Then he went overseas, and then he came back and got COVID. So we've had a bad run. We only had him for a couple of games after he came back, and then he got COVID. But I think he might be back this weekend. And Ryan was an import, and he still plays. He still plays a great game. He's absolutely import quality these days. So while it's a big loss not having Kirill Kabat, having Ryan plus Brian Funes for these two veterans we picked up from the Bears for this season on loan, unfortunately. That he's going to make a big difference, and that's why I'm still happy, confident in what this team can do.
Yeah, and Ryan Annesley was going at over a point per game as a defender as well. So Definitely import quality there. Someone else that I've been big on as well, and I mentioned in the last couple of weekends, and I'd like to get your take as well. I think he's probably the most important player for the North Stars to make a deep finals run. That is Charlie Smart. And I think we're starting to see, and I'm a big fan of Charlie. I think Charlie's a fantastic goaltender. And I think obviously had the shutout a couple of weeks ago, was really, really good in Melbourne, even though despite the loss on the Sunday against the Ice. Do you see Charlie as the most important piece for the North Stars to make a deep finals run for the Cup?
Well, goalies are crucial. They are the linchpin position. They probably, out of all positions, they make the most difference. And I think that game where he got the shutout against Perth Thunder was the best I've ever seen him play. I thought that was excellent. And the one against Mustangs also really good. Unfortunate for him, he just missed out on a shutout there. I mean, 8-0 would have been crazy. But especially considering the firepower Mustangs have, even without Scott Timmins. I think it's going to be super important for the North Stars, and it's really good to see him picking up confidence and, of course, success at this time of the season. That's when we really need it. Yeah, at times I think his confidence has been shaken, but I think the guy's really behind him as well. And having Horace Chung there as someone who's pretty similar in level to be able to come in and relieve him as well, that also has taken away some of the stress of the position. I think he knows he can hand off to Horace Chung if he needs to, and the team's still in good hands. So, I think it's a good time for Charlie, and I think he's going to keep this up and maybe get better before we get in the finals. So he's definitely coming in at a great time.
Sean in the chat as well. I've also been impressed by how Brian Fumes has integrated into the team. That's something that I noticed as well. When I was at the game last Saturday, the Mustangs and the North Stars, one of the Mustang players wanted to throw gloves with Brian, and Brian wasn't having a bar of it. It seems like Brian brings a lot of leadership to the team as well, even though the team, I suppose, is very experienced. Is a lot of experience in the North Stars team. Brian does bring that experience of being part of the AI for a fair while now.
Yeah, I think Brian's one of those classic guys that loves hockey, like super chill and such a nice guy off the ice. And he's just got a little bit of the trickster in him when he gets on the ice. He likes to stir people and have a little chat and just smiles at people, just drives him crazy. So it's been a lot of fun to watch him do that. But you're not wrong. He actually has a really good chemistry with that team right now. And even though we haven't had Ryan Ansley that much, he's had a really good chemistry, and he's made a huge contribution for this team for this season. So it's going to be sad to see him go back to the Bears. But I know he's having a ball of a time as well. It's a bit tough coming from Sydney up to Newcastle to train and to play, but he's really enjoyed himself. So I guess that's taken the edge off it, and we've been really lucky to have him.
Got a stat here from Sean as well. Smart is getting hot is so important for the North Stars. He's now one shutout short of 5, which is be a fantastic milestone for Charlie Smart to pick up.
Yeah, I think it's been a couple of years since his last one, so it might have even been back in the teens when he had his previous one. So, like I said, a great time to get hot, and pretty close with that other game with the Mustangs, and who knows. So, just going forward, I think we've got Brave, which will be a tough game down in Canberra. That's exciting to play down AIS. They play Rhinos, they play Adrenaline, and then 2 up in Brisbane. So it's hard to say with some of those guys. Some of those games could be quite tough because we got teams that are desperate, and the teams that have played well at times, and of course, are going to come good when you show up. So sometime, and so you got to put pressure on them and try and hold them down, because you get a resurgent team that can spoil your weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those teams they'll be scratching and crawling for any sort of point they can get as we head towards the end of the season. 100%. You've got the big call tomorrow. I'm guessing you're on the call, or is that at Erina? It's at Erina. Your North Stars are away. I got a break. Yeah, next weekend I've got the last home game. The following weekend against Adelaide. That'll be my last call. Yeah, that could be a big game, depending on what happens with the results and the Adrenaline still fighting for a position in that top 6. It could be a very good game.
They've got North Northstars Rhinos that weekend, so that'll be a good test for them because it looks like they've got to buy this weekend, I think, Adelaide. So
Yep.
yeah, that'll mean a lot for them. And then they've got Thunder and then Ice, so that'll be a nice test for them as well. But if things go well for them, they're still in the hunt.
Yep, absolutely. Sean's got a question as well. Are you going to the AIS for the North Stars Brave game?
I'd love to, but if it was a Saturday night, I would be there. But Sunday night, and I'm a TAFE teacher. I've got a class, a difficult class in the morning, like teaching routers and switches and all that sort of stuff the next morning. So no, I've got to study the night before. I can't get home at 1 or 2 in the morning and get up and teach in the next morning. So I would love to. I was really excited to go see that rink. I know Michael from Thought Fox, he's been down and checked it out. He took his family down to, just get the whole experience of the rink. And he really enjoyed his time down there. His whole family did. And some of the other guys have been talking to who've gone down to watch the games have really enjoyed the experience. So just like it can be fun it's a lot of fun to go to O'Brien. And when you go to the smaller rinks, when they get full, the atmosphere is really electric. But yeah, I'll be really looking forward to being in an AIHL game of 3,000 people. Just kind of blows my mind. But it doesn't surprise me. It just shows that it's possible. We just need more people with money bags that are in government and private industry to see that what's possible. But at least we've proved it now. Like AIS has proved in a smaller city, doesn't have to be the biggest ones, that we can support a rink of that size and that many people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. I enjoyed myself when I was there. It was a really good experience in terms of hockey sort of fan experience. I still think in terms of specific facilities like hockey built facilities, there's probably others that are there like O'Brien or even Hunter. I really enjoyed Hunter when I was there last year. I thought it was a really cool barn. But yeah, just a 3,000 capacity arena. It's totally something different than what we've ever felt before with the AI. So it was really, really cool.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. Peter, thanks for giving up 15, 20 minutes. I might even got a little bit longer of your time to jump on and have a quick chat about the Newcastle Northstars on tonight's show. I'm big on the Northstars. I mentioned earlier, I've been big on them. I think they can win the cup. I think they've got a really solid squad. I look forward to hearing you on your last call this season. And if you're down in Melbourne for the finals, look forward to catching up with you.
Yeah, I do plan to be there. I've booked flights and accommodation. So otherwise, yeah, I'm not going to Brisbane. I won't go to Canberra because I am going to final. So yeah, I'll be there. I'll catch you then.
Cheers. Thanks, Pete.
Cheers. No.
Peter Lambert, the colour commentator for the Newcastle Northstars, part of Thought Fox Media Group. Just a little bit of an insight on the Newcastle Northstars and their season currently and what we can look forward to for the rest of August and heading into finals. As I have said numerous times across the show and in my articles, I'm really big on the Newcastle Northstars. I actually think they can win the Goodall Cup. I think they've got a really solid squad this season across all lines and defensive pairings. And if they're all healthy and Charlie Smart is continuing to improve in form like he has been in the last couple of weeks, I think that the Newcastle Northstars can really go deep and win the cup. Sean's in the comments as well. Eric Bolner is calling for the ring tonight. I did see that. I did see that Eric is at AIS Arena calling the Ice Hockey Classic, which is really cool. And I did love the atmosphere at HIS on Wednesday night too. Sean O'Connor there. I really like Hunter Ice Skating Stadium. I don't know what it was when I went there last season and I walked in for the very first time. I don't know. It just gives like an old school barn. I'm not sure what it is. And I say old school barn like I've been across the world and seen all this hockey. I haven't, but it was really weird where I walked in and I felt like I was in a hockey rink. I was in a hockey arena, hockey facility. So yeah, I really like Newcastle. And I really would love to see more capacity there. It would be great to see them have a bigger capacity there at the Hunter Ice Skating Stadium. So I do thank Pete for coming on and giving up a little bit of his time to have a chat about the Newcastle Northstars. I do have the menu. I can bring that back up for the rest of the show. I'll try and whip through the rest of the show. Schindel 30. So Colton Schindel was the first person, and obviously the Perth Thunder. So it was between Yu Hikasaka and Colton Schindel, the first player to get to the 30 goal mark in the Australian Ice Hockey League this season. and it was Colton Shindu because obviously Yu Hikasaka didn't play last weekend because the Perth Thunder had a week off. So Colton Shindle on the Sunday did enough to get to 30 and was the first person to 30 goals for this season in the Australian Ice Hockey League. And it was a really cool photo here from Matt Hardigan as well from the Sunday game in their win over the Newcastle Northstars. A cool photo there of Colton Shindle with their hands up in the air, almost like are you entertained, or you being entertained, or whatever it was from that movie. A really talented player is Colton Shindle, and it's funny because when I've mentioned Shindle before, I think it was in the AI fans group earlier this season. I put in a post because, as I said to Pete, there's not a lot of media around the AI. You might have pockets of media in Newcastle, like I did speak about with Peter there. They're pretty blessed in Newcastle. They get a bit of coverage there from their local media, which is really, really cool. But outside of that, there's not a lot of media. But Colton Shindle was not really being talked about a lot, I didn't feel, within the hockey circles. And his start to the season was absolutely outrageous, just putting up numbers nonstop, putting up points nonstop, sorry. And now the first person to get the 30 goals this season is absolutely outstanding, and someone who can absolutely snipe him and put him away, Colton Shindle. So the Melbourne Ice have definitely got a good one there in Colton Shindle this season. So 21 games played, 30 goals, 51 points, 21 assists as well. So a fantastic player is Shindle. Sky Easton's in the chat as well. Hunter has always been fun for games, friendly people, good potato cakes. I didn't have a potato cake there, Sky. I think you mean potato scallops, Sky. So we've got a argument in the chat here about scallops or potato cakes. Andrew John Egan looked in strife when he took the knee-on-knee hit in Canberra. Great player. I totally agree, Andrew. A fantastic player. And someone that we're blessed to have in the AI. Steve Moller as well in the chat. Shindle has been a bit of a surprise packet, solid player and smooth on the blades. Yeah, it's someone he just impressed me straight off the bat. When I seen Colton play earlier this season, and I just wanted to put that post into the AI fans group just to sort of highlight his season, because it just felt like that there wasn't, with all the points that he was putting up and putting him up non-stop. So he played 21 games and put up points in 20 of those games. So been highly consistent as well, Colton Shindle. And now getting to 30, the first player to get the 30 goals. So this season in the Ice. So this shows you the quality and the caliber of Colton Shindle and someone who the Ice have. Also on the menu here, I just wanted to talk about the Lightning weekend. So the Brisbane Lightning now, they have slipped down to 5th on the standings, and we'll have a look at the standings in full a little bit later on. I wanted to highlight the Lightning because I think it's a big weekend for them down in Melbourne. They've lost 4 in a row. They've given up across those 4 games 6.5 goals per game, which is a fair bit if you can't outscore them as well. And this weekend, when the Brisbane Lightning travel down to Melbourne to play the 2 Melbourne teams, it's absolutely massive that I guess they have to get I think they have to get a split. If they can't head back up to Brisbane with back-to-back losses again and losing 6 in a row, especially when we look at the Adelaide Adrenaline. Excuse me. The Adelaide Adrenaline, who have starting to find form and getting those 2 wins in Brisbane and splitting their home series against the Mustangs the weekend before and really inching closer to that top 6 position. And we know that the Adrenaline have got 2 games on the Mustangs, but they're level on 22 games played with the Lightning. But it is not mathematically impossible for the Lightning to fall out of the top 6. So I think this weekend is absolutely massive for the Lightning to get at least a split against the Melbourne Mustangs and the Melbourne Ice when they travel down here tomorrow and Sunday. I think it's vitally important that they get back onto the winning list in some stage. It could be tomorrow. It could be, they've got to split the weekend, the Lightning, to really sort of shore up their top 6 and get things back on track, because they have been sitting in the top half of that sort of top 6 for a fair chunk of the season. And now they find themselves down the bottom half in 5th position, only 2 points above the Mustangs. So, when you think about the Mustangs, and I wrote about it in my Blue Paint article this week, I feel like it's a bit of a transition season for the Mustangs as well. They're fielding a lot of young players, and for the Lightning to only be, I suppose, 2 points above the Mustangs, who are not always been able to field their strongest team, the Mustangs, they really need to get back onto Witter's list, the Lightning, and try and push back up into that top half of the top 6. So I just wanted to highlight the Lightning. I feel like it's a big weekend for the Brisbane Lightning as well. Got a few comments in here as well. Sky Easton, just such a natural talent with Colton. Absolutely fantastic to watch. He's Colton Schindel. I'm a big fan. Also got Andrew John Egan in here. Dukes is on record as saying Adelaide will storm into finals and win the Goodall Cup in 2025. I possibly could have said that. I do say a lot of things, Andrew. So it's quite possible that I did say that. And it would be great to see Adelaide storm into the finals and win the Goodall Cup. I wouldn't mind Adelaide winning it if that was the case. And I might have said that possibly. Sean O'Connor, since the Timmins injury, Mustangs have been running light on imports. I'm not sure what's happening with Scott Timmins. I haven't heard any news. I'm hoping that he's okay. We did see the big cross-check to the face. I think it was the last Melbourne derby, if I'm remembering correctly. They're getting a lot of young players now, Sean, as well in the lineup. Rowan Barrett and Tom Pappas is getting plenty of minutes in goal. Artem Astafiev I think Artem is a star of the future in the Australian Ice Hockey League. I'm very impressed with Artem Astafiev. I really think the Mustangs have got a good player there and someone that is going to be around for a long time, I hope, for the Mustangs, and will really become a prominent player for that Mustangs team going forward. I really rate Artem Astafiev highly. So yeah, it's been a tough run for the Mustangs, but they're still hanging around, and they've still got their, as I said in my article, all you have to do is make it, and you never know what happens when it comes to finals in sport. Steve Molle will be tough, but would love to see it happen. I'm guessing he's talking about Adelaide. Sky Easton, no, don't want Adelaide to win, just be in finals. Weekend would be nice, plus seeing Darcy be a wrecking ball is always entertaining. Absolutely. I think Darcy, I know Darcy Flanagan rubs people the wrong way, but I'm a big fan of Darcy Flanagan, and I know I've mentioned it on this show before. I do have a feature article at the end of the season with Darcy Flanagan, because Darcy's got a cool story of getting to where Darcy is and the journey to get there and all that sort of stuff. So people are going to enjoy a bit of a big background feature on Darcy Flanagan at the end of the season. Sean O'Connor, I agree, Duga, he is impressive, and Pappas has been good between the sticks too. Yep, absolutely. I agree on both fronts. Artem's been really good, and Tom Pappas has been fantastic for the Mustangs in between the sticks, and a very respectful person. Made his way over to me on Saturday to say hello before going in with his bag into the locker room. You see me sort of standing out the front, and he come over and shook my hand, said hello. So Tom Pappas, I've got all the time in the world for that young man. Both are fantastic players and will be there for a long time, I think, for the Mustangs going forward. The other thing on the ticket as well, the Trans-Tasman, it was recently announced that the Ice Hockey Australia and New Zealand Ice Hockey, Ice Hockey New Zealand, I think now, there will be a Trans-Tasman series 13th to 15th of March 2026 at O'Brien Icehouse Arena, which I think is really cool. I think having more international hockey is good. I think people will get around it. And I think having the Trans-Tasman series between Australia and New Zealand is always a good thing, not just in ice hockey, but I think in sport as a whole, because I think just a rivalry between the two nations is absolutely massive. So when it comes to sporting sense, everyone gets out and supports it. And we have a good, healthy rivalry in the stands as well between the fans, which is awesome to see. And I no doubt the O'Brien Icehouse will be packed out, much like it was in New Zealand with the recent series over there, where all the games are packed out as well. So if you've got a thought about the Trans-Tasman series, drop it in the chat. Let me know, and I'll get it up on the screen. But I think it's great to have more international hockey on our shores and at O'Brien Icehouse. I think that was a really cool announcement from Ice Hockey Australia and Ice Hockey New Zealand. I think that's what they're called, or New Zealand Ice Hockey Association. I'm not sure what they call themselves these days. I've gone blank. I think it's the flu that I'm battling with. Sean O'Connor, in the chat as well. I talked to Rob Vortanov about this on Hockey Night earlier this season, and he loves the Trans-Tasman series, and New Zealand players really get into it. I think it's great. Andrew John Egan, great to have that fixture scheduled again. Good to have international hockey on the menu. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great, Andrew, to have more international hockey on our doorstep. Ice Hockey New Zealand, they changed it last year. I thought they did. I thought it was Ice Hockey New Zealand, but I wasn't quite sure. But I am battling a bit of a flu. Have been all week, so maybe my mind went a bit blank there. I think it's great though to have the Trans-Tasman series back at O'Brien Icehouse and get the rivalry continued between the two teams, the two nations. I think it's awesome. We see it in all the other sports, so we need to make the most of it as well with ice hockey between both the men and the women's as well. And Sky Eastham in the chat was just watching the semi in New Zealand before switching over to this tonight. I did see that was live on the YouTube as well. I'm not sure on what the results are or what's happening right now, but I did see the New Zealand Ice Hockey League was on live on YouTube. So if you want some hockey tonight, jump over to YouTube after this show, which will be wrapping up very shortly. But check out the New Zealand Ice Hockey League. It's a great league and it needs our support. What's left on the menu tonight? Just a standings schedule and the pick of the week, obviously. So we'll have a quick look at the standings as we head into week 16. Obviously, the Melbourne Ice still sitting on top, 24 games played, 58 points. The Thunder on 22 games played, 40 points, and the Brave in third on 37 points, played 21 games. So they've got a game in hand on the Thunder and a few in hand on the Ice. The Brave, the North Stars, they are in fourth position on 36 points. They're a really good team, the North Stars. I rate them highly. The Lightning in fifth, as I mentioned, they slipped down to fifth on 33. The Mustangs in that final spot on 31 points. And then the Adrenaline, who are just sitting out. They've got 2 games in hand on the Mustangs, and they're sitting 8 points back of the Mustangs. So they're still scratching around that top 6 and really keeping that flame alive. We do wonder, though, what that Sunday loss with Brody Lindell with the late winner is going to do for their finals hopes, because if they had won that one, they'll be only sitting 5 points back of the Mustangs with 2 games in hand, and that would have made it very, very interesting. So that is the standings. Let me know what you think of the standings and whether or not you think it's going to change all that much at the back end of the season at the end of August. I've got a few more comments in here as well. Andrew John Egan, Trans-Tasman is choice, bro. Random Kiwi. Sean O'Connor, do people support New Zealand Ice Hockey League and AIHL merging in the future? It's funny because I think I've had this chat with Sean as well before. I don't even know if it's on a podcast. It might have been Sean. It might have just been me and you having a chat. But I've always thought about this, and I've always thought that it would be really cool to have and I know the travel cost is probably going to be one of the things that would really stop it, but especially from Perth, I suppose, to New Zealand would be the big one. But I always think that it would be really cool to have like a Canada-USA setup where you do merge the 2 countries into having one big league. I think it would be really cool. Whether or not it is feasible financially, all that sort of stuff, who knows? I'm not sure. I'm not the person you go to when it comes to all that sort of stuff. But I have thought about it a fair bit, and I think it would be really cool if you merge the 2 countries and had all the teams playing against each other. But I suppose it's just to travel and getting to and from New Zealand, from Australia to New Zealand to Australia, all that sort of stuff. Which could make it difficult to have that accomplished. But it's something really, really cool, Sean. And it should really be not just sort of laughed at and then put across into the corner. I think it's something that could be really looked at. Whether or not it happens, who knows? Whether or not people want it to happen. Like you said, do people support it? I would, if it was financially viable. It's something that all the clubs in the associations and things like that could make it work and have like a big super league, I suppose, sort of like Canada and the US have with the NHL. I'm all for it. I think it would be really, really cool. Sky's in the chat as well. If it means I get to travel to more games, then yes, please. Absolutely. Sky and Dave travel all across the country for the Melbourne Ice. Their dedication is absolutely unbelievable. The schedule for this week. Week 15. Well, it's week 16. I haven't changed that. That shows how good I'm going. The Newcastle Northstars will play the Central Coast Rhinos at Erina Ice Arena. These are all local times as well, so 3:30 p.m. local time. The Brisbane Lightning will travel down to Melbourne. They'll face the Melbourne Mustangs at 5 p.m. local time, and the Canberra Brave go across to Perth, and they'll face the Perth Thunder at 4 p.m. on Saturday. That is local time in Perth as well. And then on Sunday, there's only 2 games. The Brisbane Lightning at 2 p.m. will face the Melbourne Ice. That'll be an interesting game as well. And then the Canberra Brave and the Thunder on their back-to-back at 4 p.m. local time. The Canberra Brave will play the Thunder this on the second half of their back-to-back. I'm thinking about my pick of the week, which I give every week, and what game I think I'm looking forward to the most. I think that my pick of the week this week, just because of, I think, the standings and they need to get back on the winning list. I think the Brisbane Lightning and weekend down in Melbourne. I think that's my games for this weekend. I think the Perth and the Canberra games will be huge. I think they'll be really, really big games. Both two squads that are obviously second and third on the standings, so we're going to get some quality hockey. But in terms of like the results and the outcomes of the weekend and what the games can actually mean in terms of the top 6, and obviously we've spoken about Adelaide still hanging around. I think the Lightning's trip down to Melbourne is my picks of the weekend, I suppose, not just one game or one matchup. It's my pick of the weekend, Brisbane travelling down to Melbourne, and to see if they can get back on the winners list and snap that 4-game skid that they're on. And try and shoot back up the standings and separate themselves from Adelaide, who are still itching around the top 6. So that's my pick of the weekend for week 16 of the Australian Ice Hockey League. Final M1 derby of the season in Erina. Is that what they call it? I know that's what they call it in the A-Leagues, isn't it, Sean? The M1 derby between Newcastle and the Central Coast. Do they call that in the AI? Or we don't have a, or is that something that you've just you've created yourself? The M1 derby. We should have a name for it though. I'm not sure. Steve Moller, big games for Perth and Canberra this weekend. Absolutely massive. Yeah, it's absolutely huge. 2 very, very good teams, obviously. And it should be electric hockey between those 2 teams. The Thunder coming off a week off as well, and the Brave, they're absolutely rolling. So it should be a fantastic 2 games over there in Perth between the Thunder and the Canberra Brave. Obviously, the Brave have won 8 in a row, and the Thunder have won 1, I think, in a row. But they're both highly talented teams. Sean O'Connor, and then a massive matchups for the rest of the weekend. Rhinos are calling it the M1. He got it from the graphics, so there you go. Sean said, I think in the A-League they call it F3. They do call it the F3. Yeah, my mind is all over the place tonight. The M1 derby, that's what it is. Peter Lambert, the guest, is back in the chat, backing up Sean with the M1 derby. You have it tagged as a Battle of the Beaches too. Battle of the Beaches is pretty cool. I don't mind that, Pete. That's a cool name, Battle of the Beaches. M1 derby and Battle of the Beaches. That'll be huge as well, because I know the Rhinos, we did have Sarad Duramadja on last week talking about the Rhinos, and they want to finish strong and try and give their fans something to end the season with as well. So they'll be looking to get a result. So it'll be a big game between the North Stars and the Central Coast Rhinos. Sean in the comments, Battle of the Beaches is fantastic. I agree. I think it's awesome. I think that's a cool name, Battle of the Beaches, and it's unique to hockey. You won't get anyone else with that sort of name. But that'll do it, I think, for tonight's show. As I did say, I've been battling with the flu all week. Hardly been at work. Wanted to jump on here. I do appreciate Peter Lambert, Newcastle colour commentator, jumping on and giving up a bit of his time just to have a chat about the Newcastle Northstars. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you continue to enjoy the show. It was a special Friday night edition. Obviously, I wasn't available for a live tomorrow at 9 a.m. And I was appreciative of Peter jumping on and giving up a bit of time to talk about the North Stars, who will be there at finals time, and I do believe we'll go and have a deep run. Hit the like, follow, and subscribe button to help my platform grow and obviously help hockey grow as well. It's all good for the algorithm. You can find my work at andrewkmacdougall.com.au. All my work, all my articles that I release weekly. Just got Sean in the chat as well. Thanks so much, Doogie and Pete, for a great show tonight. Steve Moller as well. Great show, Doogie and Sky. Feel better, AMAC. Thank you for tonight. Thank you guys for jumping into the chat and making sure that I'm not here talking to myself, because if I was, it wouldn't be very enjoyable. It's good to get people in the live chat dropping in their comments and their thoughts about hockey and getting a bit of a discussion going as well. So I do appreciate everyone jumping in. But yeah, hit the subscribe and all that sort of stuff. I will be back next Saturday at 9 a.m. With another live show before week 17. And then I'm not sure. I think I might have one more after that. But the final weekend of the season, there won't be a live show because I'll be heading over to Perth for the Mustangs double header weekend against the Thunder. But until next weekend, I think that's about it. All I wanted to get off here. If you've got any more comments, I can get them up on the screen. But other than that, I think that'll do it. Yeah, hit the like, hit the follow, hit the subscribe, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, we can get into hockey. Enjoy your hockey this weekend. If you're playing, if you're going out to watch, have a good weekend. Score a goal, make a save, whatever you're doing. If you're playing, I hope you get a win. I hope your team gets a win as well. But I think that'll do it. I think that's it. I'm Andrew McDougall. This is the Friday edition of the Morning Hockey Shop. Until next week, I'll see you then.
Everybody just do your thing. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.